Hey, welcome into NWGA football pre-spring special. Trying to dust the cobwebs off, man, from off season, and it feels like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, it does. It does feel like a while, but hey, spring is in the air, and there's a little football there too.
Yeah, we had a ton of changes in the off season, man. Some of them were surprising. I mean, it's probably the most head coaching openings I've seen in the last 8 years. Since we've been doing this, we had 14 head coaching changes, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go ahead and jump into that right off the rip here. Um, I mean, a bunch of schools got new head coaches. I think this is the majority of them, if not all of them. Um, we'll just go from the top down here. Altoona, Paul Carter. I don't know much about Paul Carter. He's listed as a first-year head coach in the state of Georgia. I'm not sure if he coached outside of Georgia. Obviously, these guys, most of them, especially at the bigger schools, have been in programs before, assistants, coordinators, things like that. But new first-year head coach. You know anything
Yeah,
about Paul Carter?
I did see today where Dana Arthur, man, the Rome defensive coordinator from last year, is going to Alatoona as an assistant.
Really?
So,
What
I mean,
on the GHSA website it says Paul Carter. All right.
no, he's going to be an assistant. He's a defensive
Oh, okay, an
coordinator.
assistant. I thought you
Yeah, he's
said he
going
was
down.
taking over in the system. Okay, I got you.
No, he's going down. But yeah, I don't know much about Carter either, man. But I mean, he inherited a great group down there. A lot of athletes year to year. Um, I think he'll do a good job.
Oh yeah. Next on the list, the four-time defending state champs getting a new coach. Kind of odd. Win 4 years in a row the championship and end up with a new coach. You don't see that a lot
No,
unless somebody retires, which their old coach did not retire.
yeah, and
Uh,
that had to be one of the biggest surprises in the offseason is when Coach Parsons left Rockmart to go to Hart County.
yeah,
You're like, who in the heck is going to take that job, man? With the success they've had, step in his shoes, and you get
and
the
then
four-time state champion Coach Finley heading over to Rockmart.
yeah. Coach Finley down there at Rockmart just so happens to be on down the list a little bit because I went alphabetically, but Bowden taking over for Coach Finley. Jamie Abrams. I mean, we know what he's done. Taking Cedartown up, taking them to the championship game. Man, we were there. It was
It was
literally
it was
inches
that
away.
close,
Yeah,
that
it's a
close.
game of inches for sure.
Yeah,
7 years of head coaching experience, obviously much more as assistants or coordinators. Previously I think he was at Lamar County and then Cedartown. He had 3 region championships so far. And then, like I said, the title game appearance. Um, he's now at Bowden. So, I mean, I think the tradition continues there at Bowden. I think they're losing a good bit, but I guarantee you they still got plenty. And they'll probably be the favorite in that region again.
yeah. I know.
Um,
Talking to the few people I know down at Bowden, man, they hated seeing Coach Finley go, but I mean, they're happy with Coach Abrams.
yeah, yeah. Coosa Eagles getting a new head coach. A lot of head coaching experience with Mr. Jason Howard, big time over in Northeast Alabama at Spring Garden and at Ohatchee. Um, 20 years of head coaching experience, actually. He was at Spring Garden for 2 different occasions, I noticed when I did a little research on him. And he was at Ohatchee for 2 years, which I believe was his alma mater at Ohatchee. But coming across the state line to Coosa, really not far from down in that area, really not too far from Spring Garden or that Northeast Alabama area. But lately, he's had an extremely winning tradition at Spring Garden. Lots of playoff appearances, went deep a few times. I look for Coosa to be on the up and up. It was a little interesting to see that job open up. I'm sure you'll agree with that. Um,
Yeah,
right now, off the top of my head, I
for
can't remember.
those that don't know, man, Coach Cannon, he went and joined Coach Finley's staff at Rockmart.
Correct. And one would imagine, I don't think his son was a senior. One would imagine his son is at Rockmart now too. That'll be interesting to see what happens there. Obviously, he played quarterback at Coosa. We'll see. We'll find out probably in the spring. We'll get to see some on that. But next down the list, New Fannin County head coach. That was another big one in the off season. The retirement of that coach over in Fannin County, David Nichols. I'm not familiar with him. I believe he said he was assistant at Lumpkin County.
Yep.
So he'll be a first-year head coach at Fannin County. And you and I both know, especially lately, Fannin expects to win. They want to win. So big shoes to fill there.
Yeah, he's filling the shoes of two-time Northwest Georgia football head coach of the year, Chad Cheatham.
Yeah, Cheatham is he's one of a kind for sure. Great coach. On down the list, Gordon Central, Billy Blizzard, and I double checked that to make sure that was right, and it is. He is also a first-year head coach. Keep in mind, there's a lot of first-year head coaches, but these guys have been in systems. They've been coaching football. It, just first time with the big hat on, I guess you'd say, running the show. He'll be over at Gordon Central. Interested to see how Gordon Central does this year. They've kind of been one of those teams. Last year they had a good bit of talent. The year before they did, and definitely been on the rise from where they had been in years past. So, and I think we'll get to see what Coach Billy has going on there. But I look for good things out of GC as well.
Yep. And for those wondering, man, the former coach, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head because he was only there for a year, but he went back to South Georgia.
A lot of movement. Obviously, people coming in, there's people going out. You know what I mean? North Cobb Christian, PJ Hughes, also another first-year head coach. I am very unfamiliar with PJ Hughes. I don't know where he was or anything. The only thing I know that I could find is he is a first-year head coach at North Cobb Christian.
I will tell you about Mr. Hughes, man. This is a neat fact about Mr. Hughes. He was assistant last year at North Cobb Christian, but when he was at Cass a few years back, eight years back now, he was the very first follower of Northwest Georgia football on Twitter.
Man, that is some huge status right there. Maybe Mr. Hughes is listening now. Somehow I doubt it. He's probably got a lot more things on his mind now, being a head coach there at North Cobb Christian. They've always been a solid program. I look for them to compete just like they always do. Shane Cawthorn, another first-year head coach up at Ridgeland. Everybody familiar with Ridgeland, they normally have a ton of athletes up there. And they put some really good teams together. They went deep runs. It's been a few years, though. If you can get it all together, I think Ridgeland's a place where you could possibly win if you could get the right kids in the right place, up toward Chattanooga. If you can keep your kids, that's one of the things up there. If you can keep them, I think Ridgeland could be successful in the future. You know anything about Mr. Cawthorn?
I don't know anything about him at all other than the people I've talked to at Ridgeland really like him. And they're looking forward to him.
Hey, that's definitely a big start, people liking you. Rockmart, obviously you mentioned it earlier. Coach Finley going from Bowden to Rockmart. Coach Finley, 10 years as a head coach. Listen, this is a pretty good one here. 10 years as a head coach. Half of those years, he's won region titles. So he's got 5 region titles. And almost half, he's won a state championship. 4 state championships. He spent time at Alexander and Bowden as head coaches. He started at Alexander in 2004. So,
yeah, I know the Rockmart fans are excited, man. I've seen them on Twitter this offseason, having a huge offseason so far. Coach Finley's got the excitement going there. Big expectations in Rockmart for sure.
Always. I mean, warranted. I think it's probably right for them to have big expectations. Always been a good program. Winning the region, going deep in the playoffs. I look for them to continue all that success. Probably one of the bigger teams around here. Bill Stewart taking over. Coach Stewart, he's also won a region, or excuse me, 7 region titles in 12 years of head coaching, and he's got a state title at North Gwinnett. So, all out of these new coaches, we got 5 state titles, so that's pretty good. Besides that, I don't really know much about Coach Stewart. You got any info on him?
I know he inherited a young program at Rome. They lost a lot of seniors last year. I'm curious to see how he does there with that young group.
Yeah, I know the quarterback has been rising up boards. I hear a lot about him, and I've heard him and saw him on Twitter a couple times. Going up recruiting boards a little bit. So, he was tough to stop. I mean, he moves out of the pocket pretty well, and he threw it pretty well.
Yeah,
I know that.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think he committed to Duke about a month ago.
There you go. See, definitely, definitely moving up the boards. Had a good arm, like I said, moved his feet well, and I have to see if they could find somebody for him to throw it to, because I know they lost a couple of wide receivers. I think they were both. A couple of them are going to Georgia Tech, I believe. They'll have to replace some of those guys, but normally they got plenty of athletes. So this is another guy down at South Paulding, Jared Zito. I didn't know much about him. I did a little research on him. 18 years in head coach, and started at North Forsyth. Also spent time at Decula, OLA, which I had to look up because I had no idea what that was, and Southeast Bullock the last few years. Taking over at South Paulding, good program down there. We'll see what Coach Zito can do.
Yeah, I know he inherits a ton of athletes down there at South Paulding. They have one of the top linebackers in our area down there, highly recruited kid. They get some pieces with him, man. They can make some noise.
Oh, yeah. Temple, Tigers get a new head coach, Stephen Humphreys, first-year head coach down there at Temple.
Yeah, he was the offensive line coach at Rome last few seasons.
Okay. So we got a lot of horse trading going on here. A lot of people moving to other schools and, kind of staking their claim on a head coaching job. And Mr. Michael Hilbert, first-year head coach at Villa Rica. What do you know about Coach Michael?
He was on staff there at Villa Rica last few years, so
okay,
turning it over to somebody they know. So
yeah. Well, that helps a lot, being familiar with it, so they can just continue what they got going. Move on to the next little part here. Big time, our advertisement. These region alignments we're going to talk about. I know it's just been out there for a while, so most people probably already know it, especially if you're diehard like us. But for the people who haven't seen, there was a good many changes. They brought back the 7 classifications. We've got only one group of class in 1A now instead of the Division 1 and 2 and all that. A lot of teams that were down moved it back up a little bit, technically, in their name. You'll see a lot of familiar faces. You'll see some new look regions when we go through the regions. But they're all brought to you by Al Smith, Alpha Insurance. We got a new one coming on this year to help us out. He's going to his name's Michael Dawson. He runs Hat Creek Seamless Gutters and Home Improvement out of Somerville, Georgia. And he is going to do the Player of the Year. This is an example of what it'll look like. Player of the Week, excuse me. These are the last 2 Player of the Years in the large school and the small school. So every week during the season, he's sponsoring the Player of the Week. We're going to call out some names. We talk about them anyway, so we might as well put them out there a little more. Next order of business here. Excuse me. That's not what we want. All right. Smallest region that we have, 7A, single A. We really only have 2 teams in this region that play in our area, but we kind of look at all these teams because of the 2 teams in the region. Best Academy, Bowden, Greenville, Manchester, and Trine. Obviously, we talked about it. Bowden's probably going to be the favorite. Trine's always up there competing. Manchester always has a ton of athletes. Greenville and Best Academy, we'll see what we get out of them. But not a lot of change here. This is basically the same as what we've seen last year. Right.
Yeah, I mean, minus Mount Zion moved up. That's the only difference in that region.
Yeah, correct. This is an interesting region, I think. Chat about it real quick. 6AA. You got Armurchie, Bremen, Coosa, Darlington, Heard County, Model, that Mount Zion team that you talked about, and Pepperell. So it looks like a pretty competitive region to me.
Yeah, your first intuition, man, is Heard County and Bremen for your region championship, just right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, I have to dive into what they all have returning. I kind of agree with that. What's that Dragon team going to be able to put out there? They really got on a roll last year. Don't know what they have returning. We'll take a look. I'm sure we'll see a good bit in the spring, and over the summer we'll be able to see them in 707 and paddock camps and such. So that's the good thing about those paddock camps. We'll see just about all these teams around a little bit. But I tend to agree with you on the Herd and Bremen. Pretty familiar region here with one addition, and we'll talk about that. 7AA. Chattooga, Christian Heritage. You got Dade County, Fannin County, Gordon Central, Gordon Lee, and the addition that dropped down, Lakeview, Fort Overthorpe. Man, I tell you what, this was last year. I would say I think Lakeview's got a really good puncher's chance of winning this region. I'm pretty sure they lose a lot of that production that they had. But I guarantee you they'll be super competitive, if not winning the majority of their games. I think it's going to be a good step for Lakeview. I think it's going to be nothing but good for them. But I think all these other teams, they'll be ready to compete as well. So we talked about Gordon Central having a new head coach.
Yeah, I think this is a very competitive region right off the bat. I mean, without doing any research and knowing what they have coming back, my gut says Fannin County, Dade, Christian Heritage, Chattooga. Heck, I don't know.
I know it's without doing any research, you kind of think, okay, what was it last year? Who's returning? I don't really have a lot of that information, so I kind of go with you. It could be all over the board here. A lot of options. It could be no dominant player. It could be, wins and losses by all of them in the, it could be like the SEC. 5 AAA. We have Haralson County in there, along with North Cobb Christian and Temple. Very interesting region. Haralson was on the up and up last year. Pretty much know what you're going to get from North Cobb. But Temple, new coaching staff or new head coach as well as North Cobb. So we'll see how this region goes.
Yeah, I think that's a very tough region for our 3 local teams.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Love it. Normally, tons of talent, thorough, athletic. Westland can be extremely good at times. Be a tough one, but, different, a little different. All right, 7 AAA. Pretty much all teams in our area here, and similar foes, Cahola Creek, Lafayette, Murray County, North Murray, Ringo, Rockmart, Sonoraville, Union County. I think we don't have to say it, but we will.
Yeah.
I'll say it for you. I think probably Rockmart is the favorite.
Yeah, I'm
in
gonna
the
say it, man. I'm
preseason.
gonna jump on the preseason bandwagon already.
Yeah, I think Rockmart will be the favorite. We're going to go ahead and put some early spring bulletin board material out there for all these other schools. But, you know, 6-4A here. We got a couple teams in there that we followed. Gilmer, Pickens, similar region it looks like to what they had before in 3A. So just moving some of them up. Kind of, I think they shrunk it down a little bit. There's a team or two missing, but who knows? In this region, man, who knows? I know that Dawson County team was young. Maybe they improve enough to win the region. I think Gilmer and Pickens has both been pretty good. Maybe Pickens has got enough coming back to get it done. So, what do you think?
Yeah, my first guess would be North Hall at 1.
Okay.
And then from there, I mean, it's a crapshoot.
7 Quad A. Adairsville, Calhoun, Heritage out of Catoosa, Northwest Woodfield, Ridgeland, and Southeast. Ridgeland with a new head coach. Northwest Whitfield be breaking in a new quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, Initially you would say Calhoun probably, one of the Northwest Georgia powers, quote unquote. I would say Calhoun would be the favorite to win this region just right offhand.
Yeah, I know Calhoun was very disappointing postseason last year by their standards, and they're looking to work this offseason. They've been very quiet this offseason.
I haven't heard much. You're right. There's a lot of teams that's been on the hush. 3-5A. This is where our Central Carolines lay with a bunch of unfamiliar teams. Griffin, Harris County, the Grangers of LaGrange, Lithia Springs, Stars Mill, and Whitewater. They're lost out in the boonies, ain't they? They're way out there with this.
Way out there.
With this
they're traveling
region,
down to Columbus.
Yeah, we'll have to stay up late and research these games because it's gonna be tough. It's one of those teams that sometimes it's hard to find that final score on Friday nights.
Yeah, I know the Lions lost a lot, man, but J.R. Harris coming back, that's going to be your game changer.
Absolutely. All right. Moving on to 7-5A. A lot of familiar teams. Altoona, Cartersville, Cass, Cedartown, Dalton, Villarica, and Woodland at Cartersville. I think we'll go with Cartersville as the favorite.
Yeah, I think
until somebody can do something about it, I guess.
Yeah. I think you have to pick Cartersville, man. But I'll tell you a team on that list that I'm really looking forward to watching this year is Dalton.
Okay.
Loaded with talent, great quarterback coming back. I think they're going to be the surprise team in 2026.
I know it seemed like every time I picked them last year, they would lose, or actually it seemed like more I was picking against them and they were winning. But tough region, a lot of good teams there. I think there'll be a lot of good battles in that region. To the big boys, or not the biggest, but pretty big, 5-6A here. East Paulding finds herself in 5-6A. Hiram, and then aforementioned South Paulding, with their new head coach there. Kind of a tough region there. Chapel Hill started out as a small school back when they first opened up. I remember going with Chattooga down in Chapel Hill. I believe they have a purple mascot of some kind. I don't remember. But very interesting layout there with a bunch of teams that we're not used to, like Osborne, New Manchester. We don't see Alexander on the daily. So what do you think about this region?
I think our 3 local teams, East Paulding, South Paulding, and Hiram all have a chance to win that region.
It'll be a fun one. Be learning about new teams for sure. All right, 6-6A. The only local team in this region. A lot of travel, it looks like, for the Rome Wolves. Rome, along with Creekview, Kell, Lassiter, Pope, River Ridge, Sequoia, and Woodstock.
That is
I
going to
don't
be a
know.
tough region. Yeah, that's going to be a tough region for a young Rome team. Kale, Creekview.
I just know that a team like Kale. I watched them some last year. Man, these teams have got tons of talent. A couple of them.
Sequoia.
I think if Rome can get to the top of this region, I think it'll be an extreme feat this year. Although I do, they do have the returning quarterback, so that'll help. Having some familiarity under center, but who knows what type of offense, if it'll be the same. You would think it'd be similar or at least something catered to the quarterback strength. So interesting region.
Yeah, I see that comment here from Ricky Deems, man. Dalton Rockmart, August 21st to open the season. I've already got that one penciled in.
August football. Yeah, I think we're going to see a little more August football, even in college. I think coming in the future. Tough game, tough opener. I wonder if it's on the road, if it's in Dalton or at Rockmart. We'll have to look it up. All righty. 2-7A. The Trojans, Carrollton, Douglas County, East Coweta, Northgate, and Westlake. I mean, do you got to go with Carrollton here?
Yeah, you got to go with Carrollton, Douglas County, man. That's going to be your championship game again, I believe.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's tough setup. All righty, 5-7A. Some of our local teams here, North Paulding County, right in there. The big boys.
Yeah, that's always a shootout.
Yeah, this Cherokee team. Walton is a team with a ton of talent, and always seem pretty good. I don't know. That's gonna be hard to pick there. We'll have to wait on that one. Okay. All right.
Yeah. If I lose the battle to the computer battery here, man, I want to go ahead and say that we're gonna get out and see some football in the next couple of weeks, man. Looking forward to the season. 7-on-7 padded camps. If you have a padded camp you want us to get out to, man, send us a comment on Twitter. Love to get out and watch that football, man, in that 95-degree weather.
Yeah. Well, at least the spring shouldn't be 95 degrees. So we should be okay. We might be 85 or something. But, we should be good there. But, interesting to see all the changes, the coaching changes, the region changes. One change we hadn't talked about yet, the playoff changes, with the new PSR system, the new quote unquote rating system. One of the biggest changes is only the region champion, if I'm correct here, are guaranteed a playoff spot.
Guaranteed a playoff spot, but they still go by the PSR when they make it, and they could fall as low as 16th in the season.
Yeah, they're guaranteed at least a home game playoff, which would be considered inside the top 16. So if you're the way I interpret it, if you're a region champ and you playing in a quote unquote weaker region, or you have weak non-region games, you could be as low as 16 on the rating.
Yeah.
Even though there's not 16 regions. So gonna be interesting. Gonna be interesting to see how that goes. Also, from what I understand, they put some provisions in place to where you have to have your game scheduled by a certain date. There won't be no adding games on the last week of the season or anywhere near there. And then you have to play at least 9 games to qualify for playoffs. Basically trying to take all the system gaming out of it, so you don't try to schedule a tough opponent or something. I don't know many coaches that want to deal with that. So I don't know if you're really stopping a whole lot of people, but Besides that, I don't think a whole lot changes. I mean, it goes by the PSR record, strength of schedule, opponent's record, all that. I think home games are weighted slightly less than away games. I may be wrong there, but I think I read that. Um, I like it. What is your thoughts on the playoff system there? Yeah, I'm thinking I lost Lawrence. He's froze up on me. So basically, my thoughts on the playoff system: um, extremely weak regions or teams that play an extremely weak schedule to get wins are not going to be not going to benefit from it as much. They probably won't make playoffs, or they'll be extremely low seeds. And the regions that are super hard, that in the past we say, man, you only taking 4 teams out of this region. Maybe there's 5 or 6 that are playoff teams. Well, with this system, I believe that you'll probably get all 5 or 6 that are worthy of being in the playoffs. So I'm excited about that one. But like Lawrence said before his battery on his laptop died, we're going to be out and about this spring and this summer. So tag us, at Northwest Georgia Football on Twitter, Northwest Georgia Football on Facebook. Let us know when your dates are, when your spring games are, when your fall scrimmages are. Even if you have padded camps, I know there's a bunch of padded camps where they have upwards of 6, 8, 10 teams at a time. We'd love to come and check it out and be able to talk about the kids. All right. Well, since Lawrence is gone and we've talked about all the different regions and a few teams there and all the coaching changes, I'm going to jump off here. And I'm sure we'll be back after spring. After we see a few games, we'll have something to talk about. But don't hesitate to hit us up, like I said, online at Northwest Georgia Football on X, and then on Facebook, Northwest Georgia Football. All right, guys, till next time.
We here at Northwest Georgia Football would like to thank you for watching. Please join us again soon.